Okay, in this video I'm going to show a little bit about the Shining 3D DSEX Lab Scanner software interface so you can know how to use that. Once you've inserted the dongle and you've launched the dental scan software, this is the screen that will come up. You've got just a couple of options here. You could run your calibration, you can open up settings and set up how the language, the tooth numbering system is. You can also turn on texture scanning, which puts a color skin on it. It will increase the time required to scan, but that can be useful sometimes when you're trying to make out margins and things like that. If you're just looking for the fastest scan, turn texture off. Articulator right here, if you want to scan your models that have been mounted on an articulator, then check this on, and that way when it goes to capture the buccal bite, the scanning arm will move up and out of the way, allowing you to set the articulator on the platform so that you can scan that to capture the buccal bite. Let's not do that right now though. Let's just say okay to this and go up and create an order. So this is the screen that's going to come up, and this is your basic prescription page. You would do all the normal things, put in the doctor, the patient, the technician, the order number, and let's just do the very simplest of cases right now. Let's suppose that we just wanted a single stone model. Let's say it's a guided surgery and you just want an STL of that arch. You would simply need to pick any random tooth in the arch. So if this is a maxilla, I could pick any random tooth. Just tell it you're doing something. It doesn't matter what you tell it. Just say anatomic crown. It's not implant based. You're not wanting to scan a pre-op model or any of this stuff, so you don't have to worry about this. The scan type, okay, there's a couple of options here. You've got separated model. Now what that's referring to is a model that's been cut into dies. So if this model is not cut into dies, then it is a non-separated model. If it is cut into dies, it's a separated model. And then finally, the third option is an impression. So if you were scanning an impression, you would select that. Now, if you've only selected one tooth in one arch, the occlusion type is going to default to none because there's no occlusion to scan. You've not told it you're doing anything on an opposing arch. So what we can do now is proceed forward. You need to push save before it will allow you to scan. So as you see, when I push save, this will now scan. Okay, so that would launch the software. It will be the scanner. It will be very simple. It'll just ask you to put the model up there and you can scan away. Now let's talk about a little bit more advanced. What if you wanted to do two models that are in occlusion? Okay, now in order for it to understand that we're doing two opposing models, you're going to have to select an opposing tooth. So come down to the other arch, select a tooth, and designate this as antagonist. So as you see here, that one's labeled brown. I've labeled it as antagonist. And now, again, we need to tell it, is it a separated model with dies or not? Let's say these are just two stone models with no dies, so it's a non-separated model. Now you are going to have options for occlusion type. So we could do none. I don't see the point in that. You could do two stone models in occlusion. This would be what you would choose if, suppose you were rubber banding some models together to give it the bite, or if it was models in an articulator, you would do both of those. If this was an impression that you had selected over here, then you can tell it triple tray for your impression, or finally you could get your bite by scanning a bite impression. Okay, so suppose you open them up in a vertical dimension that's higher than maximum intercuspation, and you just took a bite there. Well, you can optionally scan that bite, and then the models can be articulated to that. Again, simple case, let's just say two stone models in occlusion, and we could rubber band these together. Now you would push save, go to scan, and it will lead you through that process. It will first ask for the total jaw, then it'll ask for the lower, then for the upper, and it will stitch those independent upper and lowers to the initial scan, which was that of the total bite. Okay, relatively simple. Let's talk about if you were going to do a triple tray impression. In that case, we would still need to designate a tooth in both arches. You would need to say impression, okay, because now we're just scanning a triple tray. And for your occlusion type, it will be triple tray. And this is going to allow you to go through the process of scanning that triple tray, which is very simple. It's just going to ask you to orient the upper or lower side of the impression up first, and then halfway through the scan, once it's done that side, it asks you to flip it. You flip it over and it does the remainder of it, and you can proceed from there. So relatively simple interface. Now this is one option of the interface settings that you've got. If you come down here to settings, you can also choose a different type of scanning mode. And so let's go into clinic mode. When you do that, you will have to restart the application. So let's restart. Okay, it'll bring you back to this. Let's go in, create an order. The interface looks a little bit different now. It's simplified, and now you can tell it that you're scanning impressions, triple trays, whatever it is that you're doing. So let's say up here that we were doing a separated model, okay, meaning it's cut into dies. Once again, you can just tell it a crown. You would say a tooth, then you could designate the antagonist, and it's going to lead you through all of the same processes. If you were to choose a non-separated model, you could do this. You could say that these are for ortho, or you could do it in free scan mode. Pretty simple. It's a non-separated model, and we're going to choose both arches, and then we would proceed through with scanning, and then choose whether you're doing it in ortho mode or free scan mode. Save, and now you're ready to scan. So just two different interfaces that are present. Honestly, I like to work out of the dental scan mode. That's the one I'm more familiar with, which is the first one I showed. But hopefully for your routine scanning, this video can get you started.